When Coach Rule says that the scheme against Minnesota was too vanilla, what is he talking about?
I think he's referencing the fact that I didn't call the game as aggressively as I had planned. We started off pretty strong the first two drives, got into a decent rhythm, and then after that explosive run, that probably affected me more than it should, and it shouldn't. Every play has its own life. So what's going to happen on the next play is not about what has happened on the previous play. So kind of a what's next mentality. I've got to stick to the plan and say, regardless of what happened on the previous play, we still got to approach the game with an aggressive mentality. A little bit of a learning experience for, I think, all of us. But I don't disagree with that.
Coach, 2 games in a row without takeaways. I mean, how big of an emphasis is that moving forward?
I think it's an emphasis every week. You really get you get takeaways 2 ways, through dominant contact on the body to the ball carrier. So whether it's a running back, a receiver, a tight end, knocking the hell out of them with dominant contact at or around the ball. And the second way is affecting and hitting the quarterback. So I have to do a better job of designing things and calling things that are going to do that. And I think the takeaways will come as we get that accomplished. So,
They can get the ball off pretty quick, Minnesota, right?
They did.
At least if you get a bunch of sacks.
I don't know. I mean, I didn't really. They clearly had a plan to run the football, try to get us on our heels, and then when they did throw it, they threw it very quickly, or they threw screens. So, I think that's probably a plan that we may see moving forward, just because some of the multiplicity we provide you when you're throwing the ball. So it's a good job by them to getting the ball out of the quarterback's hands. When we were playing man and we were playing zone, and letting their players make plays, and that's up to me to make an adjustment, not just the next week, but within the game, seeing how they're attacking us and providing our players with better answers.
Coach Rule said that there's been some problems defending those outside or mid zones to the boundary side. What have you seen from there, and what kind of changes?
Yeah, he's not wrong. The run that hit us last week is the same run that hit us against Michigan. Everybody's running it, whether they have it in their game plan or not. That's a process of, every offensive coordinator goes in and sees the explosive plays that a team has given up. They're going to put them in the game plan. It's our responsibility, my responsibility to get them stopped. So we'll continue to rep them like we do every week. Continue to provide awareness to the players that we're going to see those plays, create a system of awareness to make sure that when those formations show up in the game, because they're the same exact formation pretty consistently, that awareness, and then when the opportunity comes to fit your gap properly or make a tackle or get off a block, that we do that.
John, how do you take it when Matt comes out and says that there was trouble with some assistants getting up for this game, especially the team's preparedness to play a tough physical battle when that one played out?
Can you say that again to make sure I understood your question appropriately?
On Monday when we talked to Matt, he said that there were some assistants that said he was crowning Minnesota, and that when the game played out, when it take on kind of a tough physical tone, that Nebraska, that you guys were not ready to respond to that. What's your take on that?
I think when it comes to it, I think our whole objective is to make sure that when a fight starts, that we're not counterpunchers, but we're people that are taking it to the other person. And when you taste the smell, you taste your own blood, that you fight back. I can only speak for myself, and there's never been a fight that I've been afraid to be a part of, or there's never been a fight that I'm not willing to participate in. So we've got to get that message across to our players better. I don't disagree with what Coach said, and it's our objective and our responsibility to carry out that message and make sure those things don't happen again.
How do you see young guys like Donovan and Rex responding to the good and bad that comes within a season of playing as much as they are as redshirt freshmen?
Yeah, there's quite a few of those guys, and I think that when we talk to them, I think that they build their book based on their life experiences, and you build your book based on your football experiences, right? So the more you experience the good things, the more you experience bad things, the more you experience just getting the reps in the games. And had that conversation actually specifically yesterday with Donnie, and that you have to just start to realize, okay, why don't you take a look at all of your snaps this year, and what routes are you getting? Come back to me, and what routes have you been seeing? You're not seeing a total route tree. He's seeing go balls. He's seeing shallows. That's pretty consistently what he's seeing. So just what is the indicators you have pre-snap? That's the benefit of having a system where you have a boundary corner and a field corner, because the field corner will see totally different routes and totally different players than the boundary corner. Same thing kind of with Rex. Same thing with Will. Same thing with Vincent Shavers. A lot of these guys, they're either in their first or second year. That comes with experience. That's why a lot of times old teams are better than young teams, just because they've experienced a lot more. They've been around the culture a lot more. But that's a valid question.
Number 17 for them, I think he has 516 yards.
Yeah, he's legit, man. You watch the tape, when it comes time to when they want to throw it, they're throwing it to him, and he lines up every position on the field. He's strong. He's competitive as hell. His quarterback knows where he is. He doesn't shrink in big moments on big stages, whether he's playing at Penn State or whether he's playing whoever else they've made played. So he's a really good player. Reminds me a lot of Eric Decker when I coached at Minnesota years ago, who ended up going into the pros and just being a tough, competitive, when the money's on the line, going to make a play on the ball. So that's a great challenge when you combine the way they want to run the football and their identity there. They're putting you in a lot of coverage situations where you're going to have to win one-on-one against that kid, which he's a legit dude.
Coach, you were in the Big Ten, obviously a long time ago before you came back. How much has the depth improved of this conference when you just look at the teams and the quality of teams, or Northwestern, UCLA, whoever it is?
Yeah, it's tough for me to kind of compare it so long ago, but yes, when you look at there's definitely parity in this league, and that's kind of, I think, probably going back to your question in the back when it refers to Coach Rule's comment about whether or not we were ready. Every week is going to be like this. Every week is, going to be a fight where two teams, it's going to be about who plays better and who comes and plays more physical and is more aggressive and executes harder and plays harder, and just that's the identity of this league. It always has been. When you used to say, what's Big Ten football like? It's lining up and stopping the run, defending the run, running the football, and in these types of environments. So, I think whether it's this week against Northwestern, next week against our next opponent, they're all going to be the same, and they're all going to be, I think, tightly contested battles. That
you feel like that loss and the way that you guys played has dialed the team in a little bit differently this week?
That's our responsibility. That's our job as coaches. Is that when you're a process program like we are, and that game's over, but there's things to be learned from that game, and making sure that if and when we did get away from the process of playing physical, playing fast, knowing and executing your job, and then doing it for each other, that's where we fall back on. And I think that the players understand the urgency, not just based on the results, because it's really not even about that. It's about how we play each and every week, and the results will take care of itself. And that message communicated by the head coach to us is not just to the players, but it's to me, it's to us. Sometimes as an assistant coach, you can get wrapped up into what the score is or what's going on in the game, and we just got to freaking play every play like our hair's on fire and let somebody else worry about the score.
How'd you assess the tackling in that game?
Yeah, there was too many times where I know it was brought to my attention that Coach Rould made the comment about us diving on the ground, and we were doing that. And we don't teach low target tackling. Some teams do. We teach basically you run through the near hip, body on body, chest on chest, run through your target, take the extra steps. So when we started doing that, that was something we were trying to get corrected on the sideline. Just that's not what we want to do. We want to be able to run through our targets and get population to the football. So that's an area that Matt talked about. We address. We tackle every week on Tuesday and Thursday. Tuesday and Wednesday, We'll continue to do that. Guys are running around there thudding today, but you get in the game and it's a live tackle. You gotta do it.
How much in a game like that, if anything at all, gets thrown off when you're expected to have Shavers and then he can only give you 7 snaps because of
Yeah, you've got to play. It's a next man up mentality. I honestly didn't even realize Vincent wasn't available until later on in the game. You get so wrapped up in calling the game, and whoever's out there, they've got to execute the assignments and do their jobs. So Vincent's definitely a core quality player for us that's made a lot of big plays, and we always want him out there. But there's plenty of good players on our team. They've got to step up and fill that void.
What was it about that long run that made you want to be less aggressive after it happened?
I think it might go back to the analogy of, you get in a fight and you get punched in the face and you realize, like, I just didn't fight back. I didn't punch back like I normally would in real life. So I think what has to happen is you've got to realize that play's over with, and you got to move on and respond with aggressive mentality, not with a sheepish mentality. And we talk about it all the time. Sometimes you're not a sheep, but you have sheep moments. And I think it's a matter of understanding that if bad shit happens to you, then you just that's over with and you got to move on.
Hey, Coach, did you guys put Guthrie in a black shirt now?
He is, yes.
What has he done just the last month, kind of stepping in for Malcolm? Kind of played a big role for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't stepped in for Malcolm. Sierra's has stepped in for Malcolm. Rex just won the position. He came in and through training camp, like I think guys asked me last time I was up here, maybe last spring, last fall, just slowly but surely he's put some stuff together. Rex is a physical kid. He's not afraid. He'll tackle you. He'll come up. He had a couple times he dove on the ground, but he also has plenty of times where he's hitting the guys in the face. He was running through and being physical. And as a redshirt freshman to play like he's played, I would say he's playing to the standard. But I think that it's still a really bright future for him. So he'll just get more comfortable. Like an example, that deep ball down in the middle of the field, like he was in great position. Next, as he gets more opportunities, I think he'll intercept that ball and gets more comfortable. But he's done a nice job for him in the things we've asked him to do.
Anything else?